to the program. The internet can be used for the glorification of terrorist acts, incitement to commit acts of terrorism, radicalization and recruitment of terrorists, dissemination of illegal content, facilitating communication between terrorist actors, and the training of potential recruits. Pursuant to the United Nations Global Counter-Terrorism Strategy, member states agreed to work with the United Nations to explore ways and means to coordinate efforts at the international and regional levels to counter terrorism in all its forms and manifestations on the internet, and in particular to counter the use of the internet as tool for the spread of terrorism. In March 2012, following the adoption by the General Assembly, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime was requested within its mandate to develop specialized legal knowledge in the area of counterterrorism and to provide assistance to interested member states on criminal justice response to terrorism, including, where appropriate, the use of the internet for terrorist purposes. Nigeria launched the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy, signifying the rejuvenation and renewal of government's promise and commitment to national security and economic prosperity. It is in furtherance of the sustained efforts at effectively confronting the dynamic nature of threats to Nigeria's cyberspace. On the program, we will be focusing on cybersecurity and counter-terrorism, which way forward. How is Nigeria going to explore it in its diplomacy and international relations with the global community? My guest on the program is Leonard Fwa, MNI, a professor of international relations and currently at the International Institute for Counterterrorism and Cybersecurity, Tel Aviv, Israel. Good to see you on the program, Prof.
You're welcome.
How's it been over there in Israel?
Well, it's well here in Israel. The weather is good and things are going on very well.
Okay, tell me in clear perspective, what's the update regarding global terrorism with a mindset for Africa?
Well, let me quickly say that the issue of counter-terrorism, cybersecurity, it's today like what Chief Sayed said in 1854, that all things are connected like blood that binds us together. Today, the world is becoming more complex, more uncertain, more connected, and as far as it is working, things are going on good. But you find out that when things are going on good, when everything is connected to everything and everywhere, there are people who would work towards distorting whatever is working. And so the issue of countering terror became a major issue in the international platform.
So from your perspective now, from what you've said, where is the fate of Africa? And when I mean Africa, we dovetail to Nigeria, our major interest.
Basically, honestly, we have issues in Africa because now that the world is getting too connected, if you are not connected, you are either left out or you are in the dark. What we are saying today is that terrorism has become a major concern globally. And this is when we want to, we may not go into what terrorism is all about, but the idea is that terrorism by its name is terror. They create fear. It's a psychological aspect that creates fear in the minds of people, and all they need to do is to destroy, is to attack, and to do whatever it is within their basic confine to be able to reach what their decisions are all about. So everything everywhere is connected, and so Africa today is lagging behind. Today, crime is increasing in Africa, conflicts are increasing, wars everywhere, and government needs to sit and connect with the world to be able to counter the effect of terror.
In my opening, I said Nigeria launched the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy, signifying the rejuvenation and renewal of government's promise and commitment to national security and economic prosperity. A couple of things and way out, and the prospects were laid out there by the National Security Advisor and indeed the President Muhammadu Buhari. How can Nigeria play diplomacy effectively, using it to play diplomacy in favor of Nigeria, given your perspectives as a professor of international relations?
Well, let me quickly say this. So, that the world is connected today, you need to also be connected to the world. Nigeria is better late than never. What we are saying today is that when you are talking about cybersecurity, you're talking about diplomacy, you're talking about counter, all these things. By 1980s, let's go back a little bit to history. The global economy was like a circle, two cycles. There is the global economy, there is the cyber space. They were both separated. In the 90s, there was a connection of the two cycles. These two cycles met, and this connection was, okay, we have perpetrators, we have espionage, we have hackers, we have data, and then we have a space. Every government wants to secure what she has. And by the 21st century, everything has turned out to be one round cycle. And so there is no separation between the developing economy and the developed economy. And therefore, countries need to come together, discuss issues of terror, fight it together, share information, share intelligence to be able to secure what they have. In 2001, for instance, you will remember the September 11. The President of the United States declared a war against terror. In 2009, we had the insurrection, the Boko Haram insurrection. And today, apart from the Boko Haram insurrection, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, the issue of banditry, the issue of kidnapping, the issue of adoptions are becoming more and more issues, security concern issues. Nigerians cannot travel. Nigerians cannot be comfortable to do what they want to do. Nigerians are not happy about their economy because they cannot do their businesses well. And so you need to secure something. That's why when you talk about cybersecurity, it is the opposite of cybercrime. You need to secure your environment. Somebody is ready to hack
from your
something.
Perspective, now that the policy has been launched by the federal government, what's the way forward?
The way forward is that Nigeria must have to tighten up its belt, be also among the community of information society. Everything must be connected to be able to work. Once you are talking about counter-terrorism, you're talking about cybersecurity. They are not two, the gap between them are just very close. We are talking about protecting our infrastructure. We're talking about protecting our people. We're talking about developing our economy. We're talking about how Nigeria can be part and parcel of the global economy and enjoy the competition that is placed today by globalization. And so once your infrastructures are vulnerable, the enemy strikes. And so the space is open for everybody to play. It's like a football game where you need an open field for people to play. So Nigeria must have to also be connected to this world economy. Its infrastructure must be tied together. It must also be observant of intrusion, insurrection, and all those malicious people who want to destroy whatever is built. And so this international cooperation has become necessary. That's why you have the diplomacy there. For instance, initially, when we talk about intelligence, which is the major aspect in the 21st century today, you leave it to the intelligence community. Now, globally, there is what we call the police-led intelligence. That is what we call the intelligence community-led intelligence. And then there is what we call the military-led intelligence. And you cannot separate them today. If they are not connected, then something is wrong somewhere. It is a good thing that Nigeria has joined the community of international players to play the game. And if we have to do that, we must have to put our infrastructure in place. Because if we don't do that, we are left in the vacuum.
Now that we have come to the global space, it's like saying you throw a challenge in the ring. We are saying we are ready to play, and you have said that it's quite timeless that Nigeria has done this. And I ask you, what's the way forward? Now, Nigeria's foreign policy largely is Afrocentric. Now we are there. What should we be playing with or dealing with, given the fact that a Nigerian is the head of peace and security of the AU and a couple of other positions? Diplomacy-wise, how well can we use this as an advantage? Because most African countries have not yet launched a policy, a cybersecurity policy. Nigeria has launched. How can Nigeria leverage on this to drive the process in Africa and be the lead?
Well, you would agree with me that Nigeria is one of the largest, is the largest country in Africa. Nigeria is supposed to lead. And so Nigeria cannot afford to lag behind. The way forward, therefore, is to use what we have. Our strength, our economy, our people, our resources to be able to lead Africa. And to be able to do that, we must first and foremost put our house in order. There must be peace, there must be stability in the country. The government must believe in the people, and the people must believe also in the government. And then there is no place for a vacuum. There must be this interagency cooperation between the international organizations, the international, what you call Interpol. You need Nigeria to spearhead whatever is happening within the African continent. When you talk about cybersecurity today, you are talking about infrastructure. Today we have the COVID. Everywhere in the world, everybody is trying to mitigate against the effect of COVID. Here in Israel, everybody is about 4 million people have been vaccinated, trying to cope the effect of COVID-19, because the rights of the people is supposed to be also, they are supposed to go about doing their normal duties. If you don't do that, your economy would completely drain down. So Nigeria has to be part and parcel of the global economy, putting her infrastructure, putting her people, putting her security structure in place, putting a strategy that will hold it together. And that must be in a country where you have stability, in a country where you have peace, in a country where you are devoid of all these insecurity situations that we see today.
Right now, you are a professor of international relations and right there in Israel, Tel Aviv, where you are at the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism and Cybersecurity in Tel Aviv. Can you share your experience? What is the Israelis' experience regarding what we are discussing, and how can Nigeria tap from it?
Honestly, the experience here is wonderful. Israel is a small country of about 10 million people. The security sector is so unique that today you cannot separate the IDF, which is the Israeli Defense Force, from the police force. You cannot separate them from the international, you cannot separate them from the intelligence community. A child who is growing up at 18 is already been programmed to have a 3-year military experience. And so their infrastructure are so developed that, look, from health to industry to manufacturing sector, everything is connected. And so whatever you see in Israel here is working. Put the politics aside. Once it comes to the economy, once it comes to the security of the state, once it comes to protecting the state and preventing insurrections and terror, Israel is, I would say, is among number 1 or 2 in the global stand.
So how should Nigeria copy from the Israel example? Or is it possible that at the end of your engagements at the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism and Cybersecurity in Tel Aviv, Israel, you'll be back in Nigeria to replicate what you have learned or garnered from there?
Definitely I have to be back, but I have to also say that honestly, the issue is between leadership and the people. There must be that collaborative aspect between the leadership and the people. There must be trust between the leadership and the people. There must also be the environment that the global security environment, the strategic security environment is becoming more complex and uncertain. And the only thing that I would say that is certain today is that we would see every day we would be faced with uncertainty. And the only thing that can bail us out of this uncertainty is when we collaborate, when we put our acts together, when we are able to see that everything in the country is working well, that our relationship with countries around us is cordial, that we're able to connect with the global economy, that we're able to get informations that are vital for the growth and the development of our economy, that our armed forces, that our security agencies, that whether it's the police or the private sector, there must be that connection between the private sector and the public sector. And this is what is the trend today globally. It's becoming, the world is becoming more connected, and therefore we cannot afford not to be connected from the top to the down, from the leadership to the last person down there. There must be trust between the leadership and the people. There must be that idea that our infrastructure are meeting the standards, the global standards. We cannot afford today not to be talking about dwindling light situation in Nigeria. We cannot be talking about our roads. We cannot link each other. We cannot be talking about, in this globalized world today, we cannot be talking about, look, our net is not working well. We cannot be talking about this because today the world has gone, there is what we call, there is expansion, there is risks, there is threat. There are ever-evolving sophistication in the global economy. And if we have to join the sophistication, we must have to also try to limit our risks, assess our threats, and build on what we have. And then our relationship with the global community should be one of our priority.
Now that Nigeria has joined the league of countries with a cyber security policy, by your projection, if other African countries, for example, the entire African continent, is enveloped within this space with enabled policies within its confines, and the entire continent is in the same direction, what would you be looking at maybe in the next 5 years regarding issues of cybersecurity and terrorism?
What is certain today is that in the next 10, 20 years, the world would become more complex and more uncertain, as I've said. And then you need to put your acts together to be able to meet the needs of these coming years. We cannot come out to say there is a specific thing that we have to do. We must have to just join the global economy to be able to facilitate what we're looking for. Joining the club of cyber security environment is that we have seen the threats, we have seen the sophistication, we have seen the complexity, we have seen the uncertainty, and therefore we are also trying to see how we can mitigate the effects of these insecurities, these psychological terrors, this issue of underdevelopment. We need to develop like other countries are developing. So we cannot afford not to be there. Our children are already computer literate. It's just to reinforce what the world is doing.
That's the position I'm putting, that if it is formalized, we have it in the educational curriculum at the kindergarten, primary, secondary, and the tertiary level. Will it not suffice and maybe enhance our position towards that?
Honestly, that the leadership has thought it wise to be part and parcel to put in a cybersecurity policy today in Nigeria. It is incumbent on them to be able to see that the curriculum from the primary school to secondary school to our universities are updated. While I appreciate the idea of a cybersecurity and to be talking about cyber states to fight terror out there, let's come back home and be able to put our country in order to be stable first and foremost. Fight the enemy within, then you can fight the enemy without.
Okay, Prof. I imagine
you cannot trust the government, then the government can do nothing. Once the government cannot trust the people, then the people can do nothing. We must have to put aside everything that has faced us since 2009. Like I said, 12 years is not a small days. Once terror continues for more than a year or two, then you have a problem.
Professor Fwa, I imagine, for instance, you are in Israel now at the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism and Cybersecurity in Tel Aviv. Now, Nigerian officials approached you right there and said, we have launched this policy in the country. Where you are at advantage to advise. If you're approached to say, okay, what can we do differently from what we are doing now? What are we saying?
3 things. Build our intelligence capacity. Put all the intelligence agencies to work together, have a synergy. Secondly, check the issue of poverty and the issue of crime in Nigeria. Thirdly, put trust on the people and govern them well.
Nigeria has launched the policy, and if I say you're speaking with Mr. President now, What will you be telling him regarding the launch of the policy and how fast can he run with it?
Nigeria is an enviable place to live. I have kept on saying this. We have the people, we have the land, we have the resources. What we need to do is to put our acts together, bring stability to our economy, enhance cooperation, fight against the divisive forces, launch ourselves into the global economy and become competitors. And then you see where we go from there.
Okay, Professor Leonard Fwa, it was nice chatting with you on diplomatic ties. That's it on the program. We looked at cybersecurity and counter-terrorism, diplomacy and international relations with the global community. And my guest who joined us via Zoom in Tel Aviv is a professor of international relations currently at the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism and Cybersecurity in Tel Aviv. Thanks for watching. On behalf of all of us, bye-bye.